Alright, so I pulled out the relay. I'm pretty sure this does not belong in this car. It's really hot. That tells me that the resistance is indeed, you know, in there in those pins. So let's put in a known good relay, 4-pin. That's all we need, for just 4-pin, and see if the voltage drops go away. Alright, well, I ran out of Bosch relays, but this is an OEM used relay from some other vehicle, and it should fit right in. It's 5-pin. Now, do you guys hear that click? It definitely clicked. Let's look at the scope, see what's going on. So, the scope is rolling. Clicking that relay doesn't do anything. You would expect the output to go up. Hey, this might be your parasitic draw. Why is this relay staying energized? Why is it not switching? Now let's see, 87A, 30 to 87. Yeah, that should, the default should be here, and then when it's energized, just switch to here. That doesn't make much sense to me, because right now we have 0 volts on here, 12 volts on the feed on the load side. Why is this relay clicking? I think we're onto something. So I just had a thought. The one thing I couldn't explain is why the control from the CIS also had those voltage drops. That's just the control side. That's just to turn the relay on. And why is this relay clicking when we install it, but it's not changing the output? Think about it. Is it possible that someone was in here and crossed the pins, they rewired this connector here, the load and the control pins, the powers and grounds, if they mix those up, that means the CIS ignition terminal 15, instead of just turning on a relay, was actually powering up the ignition coils, and it's not meant to carry that much current. Now we're getting somewhere. So let's see which pin is which on this, just with a test light on this connector, and see if the pins are messed up, if they're reversed or something. Guys, you're not going to believe this. That is exactly what's going on. The pins are crossed. So let's look at the OE wiring diagram of this power saving relay. So this is the control, that's the load. Now on a classic relay, a 4-pin, ignore the middle pin, you'll see 85 and 86 are on the sides. That's the control. Pin 30 is usually the one that's at the bottom, that long one, and the one that's perpendicular to all the other ones is the load output, 87. That's even labeled on the relay. So why is this relay clicking when we install it? I'll show you. So test light connected to battery positive. If it finds a ground, it's going to light up. So what do we expect here? On the control, one wire should be a constant ground. Okay? So across 85 or 86. So let's just check all of them. Okay, the rightmost one is definitely a good ground. Ooh, did you hear that? That's probably the output there. I just sent power to it. Here's something energized and the test light's very dim. Okay? So that's the only good ground is right here. Okay? Now, let's hook this to battery ground. Let's see if we have a power. So obviously that one's not power. Make sure my ground connection is solid. Look at that. This pin, the control pin, is bright. That seems to be the constant power. Now, is it the red wire? We can prove that with an amp clamp. Alright, amp clamp. Let's put it around just this red wire. If I can separate it from the blue. Okay. Now what you want to do is zero out your amp clamp. Now when we touch the control pin here, 0.2 amps. Let go, 0. So indeed, this red wire that's supposed to be terminal 30 is wired to the control pin that's supposed to be coming from the CAS. Bingo! And terminal 30 is not hot. Like it's supposed to be. So let's get this holder out and we'll see exactly how the pins are messed up. Okay, so indeed, look at this. On the control, we have red and brown. This is supposed to be on the load side. And the green, the output, is fine. So basically, this light green and the red are switched around. If we switch those around, put the relay in, this car will be fixed. Now, this is a BMW. Does this socket, it looks all OEM, it looks nice, except for the relay is non-OEM. This is a generic 4-pin relay. I'm looking at the pinouts here. They're labeled 2, 4, 6, and 8, right? Not your classic 30, 87, 85, 86. If you look at this side, the sockets or terminals are labeled, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So terminal 2 is indeed our fat green wire. Okay. Terminal 4 is supposed to be a brown. Terminal 4 is right here. Terminal 6 is the fat red, yes. And terminal 8 has to be, the control wire, the green wire, the skinny one. So, the problem here isn't with someone swapping wires around. The problem is someone put in a generic relay when the car requires a special relay where it's not just 4 pins. It has to be specific to the car. So what's the easiest way to fix this? Yes, we can de-pin these two and swap them around, put in a generic relay and ship it. Or we have to source the specific relay that fits in here where the terminals are crossed. Why would BMW do this for a regular 4-pin relay? I don't know. This is exactly why the car is broken, because someone thought, hey, I can just put in a 4-pin relay in there, no big deal. Well, it is a big deal because the pins are all crossed. It's not going to work. So I'll call a shop owner, tell him what I found, and see if he wants me to just repin this so it's a generic 4-pin relay, or do we want to return this back to stock? Again, this car is not a Virgin, it's an auction car. They just want it to run, so it'll be no parts required. Just switch 2 wires around, fix the parasitic draw, fix the stalling, get this thing off my lawn. I think that might be a good solution. So apparently this is the magic relay that we need. Check out the terminal assignments. 30 and 87 are like this, not opposed, and 85 and 86 are the corner pins, or again, kind of next to each other instead of opposed. So, where can we get one? I'll try the dealer. These wires are a pain to de-pin, and short of cutting and splicing, I mean, it's only 2 wires. We need to switch 2 wires, but do we want to hack this thing any more than it's already been hacked? Not really. If I can, I'll be in town tomorrow. If I can grab one of these, that'll be a win. We'll just plug it in, the car will be fixed. So, power of Google, I found a correct replacement aftermarket relay so I don't have to go to the dealer. So that's the BMW part number. Then in Rock Auto, you typed it in the part number search and it gives you everything that crosses over, which is really nice. So this Standard Motor Products RY777, if you look at the picture, indeed 30 and 87 are next to each other and 85 and 86 are next to each other. So I'm going to confirm that that fits our socket. Order one of these up, 20 bucks at the local auto parts store, and it should be back in business. So while we're waiting for the correct relay for the BMW, the shop owner also asked me to locate this coolant leak so this car can be fixed and returned to the customer. It's been too long. It's been off the road for months and months. So, while it's here, let's try to pinpoint this coolant leak. So I noticed when the car was hot and the system's pressurized, it was leaking somewhere in the reservoir area. All right. So right now the car is cold, so I want to manually pressurize the system and see if we can spot this leak. Now, this reservoir, again, it's fancy, and the radiator cap's fancy. It says so. It is a pressure relief cap, and the valve is built in to the cap here. You see, there's an inner O-ring right here, and then there's another fatter O-ring, and that seals in two places around this, around this neck. Now, how does this thing relieve pressure? The coolant level is supposed to be, down there you can see min max. So this cap is only supposed to let air through. And, there's some passageways. There's one right there. I don't know if there's supposed to be another O-ring here or not, because the plastic snapped off. But let's install the cap, and then I have this hose disconnected. Plug this end off so we can put compressed air in here, pressurize the system to the relief pressure of the cap, and it's just supposed to relieve air through the cap with no leaks. But I think we're gonna see it leaking somewhere, hopefully. So let's close the cap off, and you can see there's a hole right there, and it goes right through the reservoir. So if this thing fills up with coolant all the way and it has to dump coolant, it'll dump it through that hole and down. So let me pressurize the tank. Alright, so I'm going to put compressed air in the hose. Look at that. So I think what's going on here is the reservoir. It's a welded, plastic unit with two halves, and take the cap off so you can see this easier. In that little drain hole, the two plastic halves are coming apart, and it's pushing coolant somehow right between those two halves. So this thing needs a new reservoir with a new cap, obviously. That should solve this coolant leak problem. And that's it. It's not leaking anywhere, down there. You can see it's coming out of that hole and just going down the side of that reservoir and spitting the coolant out. Alright, on the BMW, we got the magic relay. It's a Standard Motor Products. I cross-referenced it, the RY777. And as you can see, the pins here are labeled 86 and 85 in one corner and 30 and 87 dual pin on the second corner. So we're going to pop this guy in. First thing, you want to check that it doesn't click when we install it. Perfect. We got the 4-channel PICO scope hooked up. So let's run it. Make sure there are no voltage drops on that feed wire. And then take this thing for a spin. Make sure you can climb the mountain. Alright, here we go. This is our old capture. So let's roll the scope. Fire this thing up. Oh, I forgot. On BMWs, you have to have the key in the slot. Duh. Okay, let's fire it up. Let's see. Roll the scope again. I like it. The relay shuts off. Look at our traces here. The alternator ramped up. So ignition, you can see slight voltage drops. This is normal. If it's drawing 10 amps, it drops to like 12 volts, and by the time the alternator ramps up, this voltage drop is insignificant. So everything's perfect, and the control voltage from the CAS module, that's rock steady at battery voltage. This is the output, feed to the injectors. That's solid, 12 volts, and then our ignition and injector patterns look beautiful. So this is a known good waveform. Now we can plug in the scanner, clear out the codes, take this thing on a test drive, and finally call the other shop and say, pick this thing up. Alright, so no codes in the CAS or the ECM. We're ready to roll. Let's take it up the mountain. So we're heading up the mountain. We're coming up to the cursed corner. Let's see if we can make it past that spot. Oh, stupid slow minivan. Gotta make room for the BMW. No problems yet.
No problem at all.
So, top of the mountain. This car's fixed. What do you think? This is my friend Zia with the Volvo. What do you think of the BMW, Zia?
A turbo is missing.
The turbo is missing.
Yeah.
That's true. It has 8 cylinders, but no turbo. Everything looks good. The coolant reservoir is hissing a little bit, but it's not spitting out too much coolant, so I like it. Let's see. Make sure our steering fluid is still there. Oh yeah, that's full. Nice and hot. I think that's it for this one. So for bonus footage, we'll measure the parasitic draw once we get back to the shop. Amazing. I think this car's a few more miles left in it before something else goes wrong. Alright, we're back at the shop. A little bonus footage. Measuring the parasitic draw. Look at this. Beautiful. 7 milliamps in 10 minutes. This car went to sleep in 10 minutes. That's awesome. I like it. So, customer complaints are 100% addressed. No more stalling. No more parasitic draw. No more leaks. Well, except for that coolant reservoir. So that's it. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. I hope everyone enjoyed the Labor Day special with the crazy, dangerous BMW. That was probably the most interesting diagnosis, at least of this year. That edge blew my mind. I mean, so I guess the problem wasn't with the car. The problem was someone built in that, the issue. Someone put in a wrong relay, and I don't know why the car ran fine for a few months before this issue, showed up, but that relay's been in there probably since day one, since it was bought at the auction. So So it's fixed. It's been about a month since the shop owner picked it up and delivered it back to his customer. And I always like to do a follow-up, you know, just kind of check in. Hey, how's the BMW doing? Well, here's how it's doing. So I asked, is the customer enjoying their BMW? And the shop owner says they are enjoying BMW ownership. After the coolant tank replacement, the water pump is now leaking and the AC flow control valve in the compressor needs to be replaced. They are thrilled, though, that the stalling issue is fixed. It ran great on the trip back. Fantastic. So, very happy that worked out, and definitely learned some valuable lessons. Research is everything. Getting the problem to happen and saving all those trouble codes was, you know, the only clue that we had. Luckily, it did set some codes that pointed us in the right direction. It would be nice if BMW had more detailed descriptions of, you know, the trouble codes, because you just see what's written on the scanner and you kind of have to use your best judgment, go on wiring diagrams and pick out what you think you need to test. Pretty cool that we fixed it before doing another dangerous test drive. I was not looking forward to stalling on the side of a mountain again, but it ran perfect with the correct replacement relay. So I appreciate everyone watching, and happy Labor Day. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.